Okay. Well, so Sandra, do you want to give a little bit of an introduction to who you are and maybe specifically kind of your background? How did you get into having your own immigration company?
Oh, thank you. It's a long way. So I've been a lawyer and practicing for 34 years already. So I started with real estate and corporate. And it was by the time the Golden Visa program was created at the end of 2012 that I received a phone call from a friend, and he had a software engineer from China who heard about this program. For me, it was also something new. But at that time, we needed um, I was living in Madeira Island at that time, and it was a little bit, with the financial crisis, was still coming out of the crisis, and Lisbon was no, in the front, so it was recovering, and the Golden Visa was a program created exactly to help recovering economically. So and he said, well, are you willing to have a client? And he's investing in Lisbon. And because I knew, I was an expert or considered an expert on the real estate part, I said, oh yes, I will study all about this new program and accompany and assist on the real estate part. And that's what I did. So I started with one client in the beginning of 2013, so 11 years, 12 years ago. And and it went from there. So with the client, and then another came. It was all at the very beginning, and at that time, I was still, I was a partner in a law firm in Madeira. Then we decided to open an office in Lisbon, and it grew in such a way that it eventually, in 2018, I decided to only, to focus on the Lisbon office. So I split from the Madeira office at that time and did a merge and merge with a law firm in Lisbon,
Hmm.
and to create the immigration department, because they didn't have it. They had some clients, but they didn't have a department. And so I came to structure this new department and heading to be the head of the new department, and train all the lawyers that started working with me, and we've been successful. We now are 12 people at the immigration department, only the immigration at the
Wow.
moment.
And that's SJF. So you merged with SJF and
Yes, so
you headed that.
yes, SJF was a little bit. So that was my lawyers, and as an attorney and working as an attorney. But at a certain time, and that's true, that was a bit later, around 2020, and then I decided to also have, create SJF, because I was in my with my own name as a lawyer, as a individual. And then I decided to incorporate the company myself, because what we did in Lisbon was a kind of a joint venture between me and the law firm based in Lisbon. And I decided at that time to also, start doing consultancy and having the whole picture, because I found that no matter the different immigration programs, a lot of clients need support on different areas. It's not only the pure legal, but also on the investment side, and why, and do the due diligence on the investment side, concierge services for those who are at a certain point willing to come to Portugal and live in Portugal, tax, and then checking all the tax implications of the investment. So a lot of things were necessary, and not only the pure legal aspect of the immigration process itself. So that's why the SJF was born, to be able to answer to all those questions and have the necessary people working, not only me, but also other advisors that I recommend, and that I rely on.
Hmm.
I always have to rely on, and that's how we. So SGF, yes, is through me part of the immigration, at or co-heading the immigration at the law firm, but at the same time giving consultancy on different levels, and have the full package, and like a one-stop shop that somebody can rely and will have everything sorted out.
Exactly. Okay. And so a lot of people are going to be interested. They say, "Okay, great. I'm interested in the golden visa." There are lots of partners out there. There's lots of people who they can maybe go to. But what would you say maybe sets you apart, or what clients tell you? Obviously, they
Yes,
give you
that's what I was
feedback.
going to tell
Yeah.
you. What do I hear and why they want to speak with me? Because they say the majority of the consultants that are out there, they are not lawyers, they are not attorneys. They just, they are selling the project, they know about the project, the programs, they know about the programs, but they are not lawyers themselves. And that was what they found. Lawyers with a lot of experience and especially managing such a big team, meaning that we have many clients and we are always updated with everything that is happening. That's why I feel very comfortable when I am advising because I'm advising and I know on an almost daily basis what is happening, how the immigration department is behaving, and I'm not I'm not selling dreams. I'm selling reality. I like to know each family. I like to understand the profile and be there to support in every decision. They have so many questions all the time. They want advice on all levels, and even if it's not me directly, through the team that I trust, because I'm with them, I work with them on a daily basis. We can advise, and I can feel. And if I have any doubt, I can very quickly go to the team member that is at that moment working with that specific file or that specific aspect of the procedure and I think the way it's structured is is different from many of the consultants. Yes, I'll say.
Nice. A bit of a weird question, maybe, but what is one question that you've had this week that you were like, ah, that's a good question, and maybe the answer is obviously answering it as well.
Well, you won't believe we have things that it's not a good question, but it's something that I never thought about. So we had a client that what I'm going to say is something very strange. She couldn't do the fingerprints to get the report on FBI level. I'm talking about, US citizen. And we need that for the immigration program and how to do it. She tried so many times and said, well, won't I be able because I had this problem and they cannot read. And they cannot read at the police level in US. Will Portugal accept some kind of report that whereby it will be written that they cannot really read the fingerprints, and so it's not a full report as we would like to receive. And then I could answer because I didn't know myself, but the team we already had that. That's the good thing about dealing with so many hundreds and hundreds of investors and their families. So, and for years, that means somehow we already dealt with something similar. And it was something that I was not expecting myself. And I was reassured by our team member that we had a similar case and what kind of reports they accepted at the immigration and replacing the criminal report on this is an example of something that you don't think about it.
Yeah.
And
Perfect. Well, yeah, that's exactly I think that range of experience. And so, how many clients are you dealing with? Maybe there could be an interesting data point of like how many you've dealt with, obviously in your career, which is important, but also maybe more recently, and where are these guys coming from? What nationalities?
Oh yes, we at the beginning when we started, it was more from China.
Okay.
And at a certain point from Hong Kong as well, Middle East. Not many from US at that point. And let's say probably 6, with the pandemic, we get a little bit lost with time. But 6 years from, starting 6 years ago, we started, really having American clients coming and increasing. And definitely nowadays is the number one origin country of our clients. And I always say that we talk with Americans, several different clients per week. Nowadays it's per week. And so it really, the majority. But we also have from India, South African, some, China still, but Chinese were, lately they were a lot focused on property investment. And it was huge when the property investment was still eligible for the golden visa. Then it decreased, but now they are coming back, as far as I understand. But many, it depends I don't know if you know the Chinese market. You need to have trust in all the chain that brings you the clients to you. I learned when I was in China the guanxi word, that is trust. They need trust in whatever, whoever is advising, and of course, and we have some consultants that are working with the Chinese, but it's not the majority at the moment at all. It used to be, but nowadays it's American.
And how many clients would you say over your career you've helped? If you had to put
I don't even have the data, but thousands, I would say.
Thousands, wow.
Throughout all these years. Many.
And are you see, if you were to compare, say, 2023 to 2024, was there an increase? Are you seeing that the program is increasing over those years? And even to this year, obviously it's a few months in or 2 months, but are you seeing it actually increasing?
Oh, yes. So we had we went through a lot because the former government announced that the golden visa program was, being canceled and finished. But what they really wanted to do was to withdraw property investment because of all the crisis in property, and the prices were increasing so much. So politically, they had to end it because of all, the locals were not, happy with what was happening. So, but the way they announced, the prime minister, was like the golden visa is going to end, and the majority internationally, people thought that the program had ended. But the truth is, although the government at that time thought about ending, the parliament, actually the majority of the parliament at that time was from the same party of the government, but the parliament decided to keep the program, but only withdrawing the property investment. And there was another investment, 1,500,000 in the bank deposit. That was also possible at that time for those who wanted to apply for golden visa. So those two were withdrawn, but all the other routes of investment were kept. But it took time to relaunch the program on an international level. That's why it decreased. Even last year was, coming up. At the middle of last year, it was when we started to, see that it was, coming back and increasing the number of clients, and especially with this new aspect with the citizenship law that was changed in April last year, and that allowed to, although the golden visa procedures were delayed for several reasons, and also including the changes in our immigration law, and the fact is that the citizenship law changed, and it's possible to count the 5 years that are necessary to apply for Portuguese citizenship and then passport, started counting from the submission date. So if they do the investment, they submit, and the clock starts running, no matter if the procedure will take more or less time. And that really changed. And on an international level, that really changed. So with that, and with more funds coming in as well, because we didn't have many venture capital funds that were, eligible for the golden visa program. So it started, new funds were coming in with management teams that we could rely on, and also with the citizenship law changing. These two aspects, made a difference, and internationally we went back to the market like we used to be, the Portuguese golden visa program, and it increased at the end of the year, and now it's booming. It's incredible. Booming. We had like the last three weeks around 13 new clients applying for golden visa. Coming in. It's really amazing.
Incredible. And so if someone's obviously interested, that it's booming, it's a great product, that
Yes.
it makes total sense for anyone looking for EU citizenship, anyone who's looking for a passport that is ranked one of the best in the top 5 in the world.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
what is the process? So, obviously, we have the Bitcoin Visa, we have Celtis and Orange Fund that we've partnered with, and we are all in combination with you and SJF. Once someone is interested and they're having maybe a conversation with us and they're now, okay, this is really exciting, this is something that I think our family want to do, how does the process start with you?
Well, I always like to have a conversation, a call, always, right, to know the family and then to go through, because I need to understand the family. That one investment, we can also, we can do the family unification, and one investment can be used for the spouse, for children, for even adult children if they are single parents of the investor, of the investor's spouse. So it can be quite, a lot of people with one single investment. So I always need to understand the family structure and who is interested in going forward with the program. When when the person decides to go forward, we start by doing an engagement letter, because we know, and even for the know your client purposes, we need to have all the details at that point. And we always start by creating a tax number, an IF number in Portugal, because it's mandatory for the investor and for the family members. And we also assist on opening the bank account remotely. So that's what we do, the two things. So we assist opening the bank account remotely, and we with system banking account remotely. I'm sorry, and that's when we start. And at the same time, we have another member of the team already. Depending if that person already chose the investment part, we will have somebody from our investment department. We have an investment within the immigration department. We have like sub-departments in golden visa, other immigration programs, and investment. So we will be dealing with two members, one assisting and creating tax number and on your bank account opening, and another working with the onboarding process for the fund, for the investment. Why? So at the moment the bank account is open, the money will come. I'm talking of a normal golden visa application.
Yeah.
It will be normal. So the money will be transferred to the Portuguese bank account typically, and then from the Portuguese bank account to the fund to buy the units, the share units, once the onboarding is closed. And when we have everything, the documents, everything signed up, we will have all the investment sites. The investment side will be done, and we will have all the documentation to prove the investment. And another aspect that is very important is to have the units of the fund deposited in the personal bank account of the investor, so that we can prove that's one of the mandatory documents for the golden visa process. So we will have everything to prove. At the same time, of course, the criminal report from, for the investor, and we need from the last year of residency for the investor, and for the family members, we need from the citizenship country. If it's not the same of the residency, we will need citizenship and residency, but only for family members, not for the main applicant. When we have the documentation, personal documentation and investment documentation, we are able to submit. Once we submit, then we will pay an analysis fee, the government fee, the first one, and it will be, we will have to wait for the biometrics appointment. So we will have to wait for the notification of the immigration department, and they will notify us. What they are at the moment with this new platform created by the government. What they say is that we will be informed, and we are now, dealing for the first time with this new platform. Let's hope they can meet this timeline. But it should be, they should do the biometrics around between 90 days to, between 3 to 4 months, the biometrics will be done. Oh, I'm sorry for the
No problem.
baby. I don't know if you can cut this part.
No problem at all. So the biometrics, then, so that I was the process fully online all the way, or at some point does the client need to come to Portugal?
They need to come to do exactly biometrics. So when they notify the immigration to do biometrics, we need to go to the immigration department in that day, whatever was the day that, of course, the team will, talk with the client and see, their availability to travel. Once they get that date and they schedule for that specific date, when we receive when they come to Portugal to do the biometrics, we need to bring the physical file. And at the biometrics, we used to deliver the physical file to the immigration. Nowadays, what they want is to just look to the physical file and check if all documents are submitted also online. They just want to check if everything is in place.
Yep.
If they check that everything that is needed is in place, then they will deliver to different immigration offices, if you want, throughout the country. That's the good aspect of this new decision of the government, because we used to be physical file and they needed to, to send the file to the main two cities, Lisbon and Porto. Then there was the decision makers where they would approve the final. Inspectors would approve the applications. And so at the moment, what the decision was to have more people around the country, which is good, checking the file that is, that is digitally uploaded, exactly the same as the physical one, and they can, go through it, inspect. If they have questions, they ask us. Many times we are, if there is any question, we are always there to clarify the immigration until the final approval.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, beautiful. So that process is all laid out. You have someone, is that right, in the team, an account manager or someone who's kind of with each client all the way through? How does it work with your team?
We used to work like that, but we structured in a different way. We structured having people just, doing some parts, some different stages. So we have a team and they are focused on, one is only opening bank accounts and creating tax numbers. One, it will be doing the onboarding with the funds. Another will be dealing with all the personal documentation, personal and investment, to make sure that the submission was done properly, and will accompany that group. One of them will be the ones that will accompany the client to the biometrics, checking the file, the physical file. So we are divided like specialization. Because it's better for, of course, we always have meetings. We are always working with, with the whole team, but that way you are more efficient, That's how we decided, to work. Okay. But it has been working for 3 years like that. Mm-hmm.
Perfect, fantastic. A little bit more of a question, I guess, about Portugal. You are in Madeira. Why would someone want to do this program? Why do you think the main benefits of going through the Portuguese Golden Visa is?
The base of the team is in Lisbon. The majority of the team is in Lisbon, based in Lisbon. I am the one coming back and forth, but that is because I like having the quality of life of being in Madeira. But because I can work remotely a lot of time, we work and we have our meetings. Every 2 weeks I always go to Lisbon and we have our own meetings there. But why would the Golden Visa? For so many reasons. The majority of the reasons were people want to have plan Bs for themselves and especially for their family and children. I hear this all the time. So you can see, even, we have clients from Middle East, they are working in Qatar or Emirates, whatever they are. But they want to make sure that if something happens, for example, the family will not go to their origin countries. They have access to a European Union, and the children can study in European Union universities, etc., or live in Europe. And that's how they see it. On the American side, we saw it's again plan Bs. The majority of our American clients, they want to have, it's a plan B. They want to have something in Europe if they, for some reason, want to get out of the country and they cannot do it immediately. At least, get the clock running and do some investment and have the residency. And whenever they want, they feel more, they feel free. Their children will also, it's a legacy to the children. It's true. I hear that all the time. And many people are getting more, and they have through the Portuguese program that it will mean opening the whole European Union. Many will do the Portuguese program because it's easier to get the citizenship, but then eventually they would like to live in Italy or France or in other countries, especially Southern European.
Yeah.
That's what I hear all the time. And also the freedom, and that's I heard that once, and it made me in all sense after the COVID of the pandemic. Many Americans at that time, what they were, they experienced for the first time what is not being able to travel when they like to be free and travel whenever they want. Some because they had children studying in Europe, or they had business in Europe and they couldn't travel unless they had a residency or a citizenship. So that was a wake up call. That was clearly the first wake up call. I need to have something else to be really free. And nowadays it's for other reasons, and
Well,
we can hear that all the time. Political.
well, you just mentioned one thing which is kind of related. What's your experience about people coming and opening up, like doing it for business purposes? There is a lot of, I guess, a new wave of people who are more, say, nomads. They're moving around. I know Portugal is a hotspot, especially in the sort of crypto space. A lot of people have made money. They know that tax in Portugal is lower for crypto. Also, there's a hub of people who are in this space. And so for business owners,
Yeah,
how does it
yeah.
work, and how does it
Yeah,
work
we
with the
have
whole of
other
Europe?
immigration programs, but that means that their primary residency will be Portugal, and they should be taxed in Portugal,
Okay.
majority. So they need to agree on that. And many times it depends on their, income stream. If they have some income that they don't like, the taxes in Portugal. When we had the non-habitual tax regime, it was very beneficial for expats coming to Portugal because it had very many benefits in many income stream, passive income, crypto, in every aspect. Nowadays, we don't have that regime. It's a little bit more, depending on again of the source of income that those people have. So crypto, they used, I know that the last change was they had to hold 1 year in order to avoid capital gains being taxed in Portugal. But at the beginning was nothing.
Yeah.
It wasn't taxed at all. So tax-wise, it changed. It has been changing.
Yeah.
The golden visa is used more for people, as I said, who cannot come and they cannot live in Portugal. It's not their primary residency. They want to live elsewhere, but they want to have a residency in Europe and eventually a passport, a European Union passport. It's more focused on.
Yeah. But say, for example, I got this program. What about setting up businesses all around Europe? That would be much easier now. I have that European or the Portuguese passport, right?
Well, with the Portuguese passport, you can do whatever you want in any European Union country. It's freedom of movement. So you can go to any country, work there, live there, and do whatever you want. It's why at the beginning of the program, we call it temporary residency. That means you can work, live in Portugal, anywhere. If they decide to be in Portugal, yes, you can travel in Schengen space. But in order to, have the right of living in another European country is only with permanent residency or citizenship, one of these two. And that will allow to then actually move and live in other countries without any problem.
Yeah. So just to clarify, inside that 5 years while you're waiting for your passport, you get residency for Portugal.
Yes, correct.
You are allowed to, as you said, go visa free though, still within
yes,
Europe.
with Schengen countries,
in
all
the
the Schengen
Schengen.
countries, you can go, travel, be there. According to our law, that you shouldn't be more than 90 days in each of those countries because you don't have, but you are allowed to be there. And many times it's all about, it's all about how the authorities of the other country are checking or controlling. It really depends on the country that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And but on pure legal terms, you are
90
entitled
days.
to, with your Portuguese resident, temporary residency, to travel and be up to 90 days in each country.
Yeah, but it's pretty easy. I mean, Italy and France, obviously you can just go across the border and stamp, and then you're back. so yeah, pretty.
It's easy, very
yeah,
easy.
Yeah, pretty good deal. Is there anything that you often get asked? Maybe it's either most common question or something that you think would be important for anyone to know who's probably sat at home going, "Ah, man, if only Jamie could ask this question."
Well, the majority, of course, is about timelines. When can we use the resident permit? When will we have and get the resident permit? Of course, I need to always explain that it takes time to process. Is you know,
It's a
there's
government.
it's quite a long time to get residency. 1 year now. It should be, according to the new government, around 1 year and something months. We're still, seeing how they will cope and if they will, fulfill, if they will deliver what they are promising, basically
Okay.
that. But the good news, and people always get very, happy with the fact of two things: that the citizenship timeline comes from the submission and not when they actually get the residency, because don't forget, most of the golden visa is, as I said, Plan B. The majority are not living in European Union countries; they are living outside Europe, and they are working, the majority, and they don't even have time to go and come to Europe and be in Europe a long time. So what they are really is preparing. They are preparing to get the citizenship and eventually then be free and live wherever they want to live. The majority is not actually coming to Portugal during that time. And that's where the problem is very good compared to other golden visa that are there in European countries, is that yes, they need to be 14 days every 2 years, but that's always it's only holidays, and they can apply for citizenship and for passport, passing the A2 level Portuguese exam, which is a very basic Portuguese exam. And they don't really will need to live in Portugal while it's being processed. So they can have a passport without, having ever lived in Portugal.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between our program, if we mix, the citizenship application and how it's processed and what is required compared to other European countries. So the full package is very interesting. And tax-wise, they are also free, and the majority of our clients like the fact that they can be tax residents wherever they want and wherever they prefer for, tax efficiency. If it's not Portugal, it will be another country. They don't have to become a tax resident. And but so they don't even have to become tax resident while the immigration program is going on, on all the different temporary residencies. And even when they become citizen, they don't have to become tax resident. So they will only be if they choose to be. They don't have to. Another aspect that I hear a lot from Americans, especially, is the insurance, the private insurance cost, because they can get insurance in Portugal, go to private hospitals, get surgeries, get consultations for much lower prices or fees than they do in the US. So for them, it makes all sense to also do that. So they have, it's almost having a card that gives you access to Europe. They can be more than the 90 days that I allow. They have, they can use it for those who have time to travel. They can do that. It can be in different countries without necessarily becoming tax resident in one. And having access to, these positive aspects like health insurance, like they tend to really like. In our hospitals. That's what I hear all the time.
Yeah, well, American fees are pretty high.
Oh,
So,
yes.
so it makes sense. And also for children, I guess, and there's also access to the universities and things like that for future. So that makes sense. I was going to ask where, obviously, you've had lots of successful clients who have gone through the scheme, and have you got some like testimonials or something that people can see? Where could these, where could people online look up some of these sort of testimonials or comments about your services?
We have in SJF. In SJF, we have some testimonials of clients that were willing to do that. Website. But yeah, I mean, we're having whenever we ask them. We have very, if you need, yes, we have many testimonials that are positive. And the fact that we are so intertwined with on the law firm aspect was also positive in more difficult times of the program, When there were these huge delays in processing, we also had litigation. So we started, using the litigation to get appointments that were not, we couldn't have access otherwise, and it worked. So we are always there for the client in whatever aspect that might, and they like that. And they like.
Okay, beautiful. And to my understanding, the partnership with Celtis, Orange Fund, and the Bitcoin Visa, it's up to 4 family members. Is that right?
Well, we can have more. We did a package.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
just created a package for that with the main investor and plus 3 members under the same fees. And, I'm talking about the legal and consultancy fees, of
Yeah.
course. The government fees are always, paid by each individual. So that's completely different. So the package that we did was, yes, for, that includes up to 3 members. And we add just a small fee for each additional member if needed.
Okay. And
that's it.
Yeah. And so sjf.pt is the website. You can go
Yes.
and check all fees, everything or like that. Interesting, Sandra, I saw a fact. Well, I did a quick calculation the other day that if Bitcoin was to rise, obviously with Orange Fund, they will be putting it into crypto.
Store.
Into a crypto fund. If Bitcoin was to rise by 14% over the 5 years, actually it would cover all of the fees.
So, and that's what I hear. And I was, when I was coming back from holidays, I went through Qatar, Doha, Qatar, and one of our Golden Visa clients, he wanted to invite me, and we went to have dinner with him. And he was telling me something very interesting. And he said, the best investment you can do now is definitely store Bitcoin. Have it stored during X amount of years. That will be the best investment you can do at the moment. I was, that's good to hear.
Well,
that's what we are doing, So someone, it will be increased, and it's definitely a good investment according to what I hear. It's not my area of expertise. I'm just a lawyer and attorney, but it's good to hear that.
Yeah.
It's not a complicated situation. Just having the money there.
Yes.
Having Bitcoin.
Yes, money, storing it, and I think with the movement, America is just about to launch their own strategic reserve today. So there's a lot of things and momentum that it's going to kind of help that. So really exciting time, I think, for this new product, the Bitcoin Visa, Orange Fund for you, and hopefully that introduces this whole process to a lot of people who maybe didn't think about it before. There's also a lot of newfound millionaires who are coming into money through Bitcoin, and they've made some
money. And it makes all sense. I mean, they will understand that it's a good time and it's a good strategy, and it's a plus for them. They get the residency, in your opinion. For them, for their children, it makes. Why not?
Total sense. I think when I first heard about it, I was like, this is a no-brainer. This makes total sense. I was actually speaking to a guy who also does life insurance through Bitcoin the other day, and it was quite an interesting way how you can now, especially for Americans, I think it's typically for life insurance, and that's where they're based, but using and leveraging use of Bitcoin for these products. And I think there's a new wave, hopefully, of people getting into this space. So really excited.
Yes, I think it's the right time. I really believe it's the right time with this kind of product, what we are offering, and even and getting to citizenship through that, through investment that I understand. I mean, it makes all sense.
And
I hope.
And you're seeing the results. You said there's 13 clients already this
last
few weeks.
Well, I'm not talking about over this, but it's what we have on our
golden visas. Perfect. Well, no, thank you so much, Sandra. Is there anything else you want to say? Any last comments?
We are also working, and this is important, but only for those who have. I'm talking about especially Americans that have their 401k or IRA, retirement accounts. We worked in a way to have everything ready so that they can use their retirement accounts without losing benefits. to do the investment. That's another perspective, not new, but it's very interesting,
Yeah.
and
So
for especially for Americans, and
yeah.
we will be able to do the same.
So to clarify, that is, they are able to use their 401ks that they've been storing up
Yeah,
to actually
we will guide them how to do it on the American side and on the Portuguese side in a way that they can really use that money that ultimately belongs to them, but in a way that it's acceptable on the American side to to do those investments.
Okay.
It's a different strategy, different from what I described, a little bit different. We have to guide, but it's possible.
Okay, that's incredible. Yeah, Brian was saying, and again, another opportunity for people who maybe don't have that amount of cash on hand to actually leverage their
Leverage through, yes, right. That's
401k.
something new.
Perfect. Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Sandra. Been a pleasure, as always, in the Bitcoin house, I like to say.
Thank you for for the interview.
No, I appreciate it.
That was
And
very.
yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for